Hey fellas, just wanted to give everybody an update. I just heard from Dennis. Talked to him a couple times in the past few days, and today he went down there and to the office that I guess receives the paperwork and goes through it and everything, and talked to the guy. Wanted to make sure everything looked okay. He said the paperwork looked good. Said he might want to come out and take a look at the camp at some point in time. Dennis told him that he's not to come look at the camp without him being there, which is good. I'm glad he had enough sense and foresight to tell that to the man, so you don't just come on the property and check everything out without Dennis making sure everything's good beforehand. He also mentioned that it could be as far out as November before they hear any kind of, or Dennis hears any kind of final word on the camp and what's going on with it, and if he has to do anything to be more compliant. Dennis seems to think it's just a money grab. What they're wanting him to do is cut out 2 acres and basically rezone it as part of the camp, so he'll have higher taxes on that 2 acres. He's got the septic tank for the bathhouse. He got it pumped out, and he got paperwork from the septic tank guy saying that it's all up to code, and so that's all good. The last thing I talked to him about was while we're up there, if he would mind if we hooked up our drains to the barrels, and he said he guessed that would be okay as long as everybody's disconnecting and stowing the drains out of sight, so it doesn't look like, we're just, every time we come in that we're hooking them up and disconnecting them. So maybe put your drain in a trash bag or a tote or whatever you want to do, just so it doesn't look like it's being hooked up and disconnected every time you show up. But he did say we could hook them back up while we were up there. I think that's everything I wanted to say about that. Last thing I wanted to cover was we had 2 empty memberships because Mark got out and Keith got out. But we decided, because we lost the acreage, we were only going to fill one of those 2 empty slots. Pending me receiving the check, that one empty slot has been filled. James's brother is going to take it. Check's in the mail, so as soon as I get that, that'll be official. Only other thing I wanted to say is, I think as long as there's a good showing of guys, we could probably move those 4 stands pretty quickly on the work day. We need to think about a couple things. I think a bunch of us looked at the last work day, looked at it, putting one kind of down past 24 in one of the lanes, so it couldn't shoot the same lane as 24, but it could shoot one of those new lanes from when they cleared out the logging and everything. I'd like to try and think about some places we might put those other stands. I'm thinking, we'll figure out what stand's going to go where and everything when we get up there. But we've got 4 stands to move and relocate. You got to think about where we're going to put them. So if you've got some place in mind, I would really like to get them in some places where they're not stacked on top of stands that currently exist. Maybe even, if it's not too hard, get some off in the woods that aren't necessarily on a trail, or in the woods, not on like a main trail or an established road. So we're not just stacking on top of stands on top of stands on top of stands. And if it's anywhere remotely close to any other stands, I'd like maybe some of those stands that we're adding, maybe we decide not to feed those stands or just put a feeder on those stands. And if we decide that there's no good places, obviously we could just store some at the camp and figure it out at a later time if we only want to put 2 of them back out or whatever. I've got a couple ideas about some places that I'll run by everybody, see what everybody wants to do. But that's what's on the agenda, moving the stands. But if you got anything else going on, I'd really like to bring up some commercial trash bags and stuff and clean out the kitchen area with just the trash. Get with Dennis, make sure we're not throwing out anything that's of sentimental value to him, but there's a lot of old dishes, pots and pans, and just appliances and stuff like that I'd like to get rid of, so maybe some of us could do that. If anybody can't make it to the work day, if you want to let me know you're not going to make it in advance, I would appreciate it. But the 2 main things on the agenda for the workday right now are going to be filling all of the feeders, but in order for that to happen, we've got to get somebody up on top of the corn shed that ain't a big sumbitch like me to caulk it and get it dried in good, so we're not just wasting money and having water getting on that corn and just rotting it. So we need to fill feeders, move those stands, and caulk that roof. I'm game for any other ideas of stuff we can do while we're up there. I'm gonna end it off there because I'm almost home and I'm tired and it's been a long day and I'm picking up pizzas for the kids. So I'll see you guys.